Who's with me?
Hi.
And we're doing Forum Friday.
I haven't been on one of these in a while.
No. I was gonna have her on more and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So last week, I asked you guys, what was the best time to upload or what time do you watch YouTube videos? You know, if you're not uploading. BBK Dragoon says, oh, Chipmunk Epos, haha, because my voice was really, really high in the glitch version. He uploads at 11 a.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I usually hover around the 3 p.m. Eastern Time myself. Mr. Roast Biden says, I normally watch a few videos in the morning, and most of my YouTube viewing happens later on at night because people have had the time to upload since I've been at work. I think when I get to the point that I can start making videos though, my work schedule will help me out a lot as I have to be at work at 5 a.m. So I could set videos to begin uploading around 3:45 or 4. Ow. When I'm getting up and showering and eating and doing my breakfast dishes and preparing my lunch for the day, the theory being they would be above late night uploads but only slightly below the rush uploads of later that morning.
God, and I thought you were a
a
ridiculous
good idea.
morning bird.
That's actually a good idea to schedule them though, like schedule them that early. Huh. The Guy or Die says, also form different upload times for weekends and weekdays. People's schedules don't stay the same over the duration of the week. Tongue stick out face. Yes, I usually do upload on different times on weekends. I just usually don't post on weekends at the moment. JMonVid says... Oh wait, The Guy or Die also said... Okay. Oh, that was his second comment. His first comment says, yep, Linus always keeps me up at night for an extra 15 minutes because of his late uploads, but hey, it works. I usually watch around 11 to 12 p.m. Pacific time, or around 4:30 to 5:30 Pacific time when I get home. Don't know whether it's better to hit before or after the rushes though. I usually scroll down my feed to find the last vid I watched from the day before and then go from the bottom up, thus favoring the before rush posting. However, I'm not sure how many others do this. Maybe most people just click a few at the top and don't binge like me, thus favoring after rush posting. I don't think there's a good catch-all for upload times, especially with YouTube becoming so widespread in so many different time zones every year. Just experimenting around before forming your schedule to see what works best for you. Just experiment around. On a side note, you can see the top 3 countries your most videos are watched in your analytics and based on that. Yeah, all of mine are in the US, so... Or US or UK, and the problem becomes that that's 4 different time zones and I still don't know what to cater to.
I actually do the same thing as you, The Guy or Die, and I assumed that was pretty normal, so that's kind of interesting.
I used to, like... When I'm watching a lot of videos, I do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm pressed for time, I kind of skip around, so it depends. JMonVid says, normally I try to watch a video or 2 early in the morning before I start on homework, my own videos, or go to work. Then I'll watch some during the afternoon unless I'm at work, in which case I'll watch some once I get off. For my own videos, I try uploading them at 6 p.m. because that's when I see a lot of people publishing theirs. But I realized that my videos got buried in the subscribers feed, so now I'm releasing videos at 9 a.m. to see if people still watch them then. Interesting idea, and I am considering trying the morning thing, I just don't know. FF12 Maniac asks what the hell happened to my voice in the squeaky version. FabioP96 says, I usually upload for 3 p.m., but I consume YouTube at 10 p.m. or later.
Consume YouTube. I like that.
Yeah. Nom nom YouTube. Okay, so our topic for this week is fan-made film series videos on YouTube, and specifically one that we just watched yesterday that just came out on like the 24th was Dragon Ball Z The Last Hope?
I think that's what it was.
I think that's what it's called.
We're gonna sound really dumb if it's not.
Light of Hope. Light of Hope.
Oh, okay.
We were close enough. It is a fan-made series made by Robot Underdog, and it is funded by Machinima. They're kind of transitioning their focuses nowadays to focus on that kind of content just to have a different company direction, and it's actually pretty good.
I was surprised by how much I was into it.
Yeah, you're always, whenever you're bringing something like animated or video game to life, there's always going to be a weird kind of disconnect between random actors, the actors that are picked, and the characters in the show. But they do a decent job. They at least look somewhat like the characters.
They actually used an Asian kid for Kid Trunks, so yeah, I was impressed by that. Which
is really cool.
Not even like big budget movies do that half the time.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they're running into with the Ghost in the Shell movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a really interesting issue that people might have with it, because it has kind of awkward dialogue. Like the character's dialogue feels kind of awkward. but at the same time, their dialogue is very canon to the series. Like, Gohan says some weird things like Father and Mr. Piccolo, and the way he says it feels kind of cheesy or awkward, but that's how it sounds in the actual anime. And that kind of made me rethink how I thought about some fan-made stuff, because that's how a lot of things are if you're sticking to the original. Now, what actual, like, TV show versions do and stuff is they kind of establish their own different development on the characters to keep from having those issues, like trying to use comic book one-liners and just sounding stupid. But with fan-made stuff, if it's, you know, you always have that issue of if you're not close enough to the original, then people are just going to say this isn't, you know, that's not Gohan, what are you doing? And so I think it's an interesting balance of being canon yet being its own, you know, still being well produced.
Right. What I think about fan-made stuff mostly is that, I mean, they're largely making it for themselves. Of course, it's for fans on the whole, but the audience is much smaller for this sort of thing, whereas, you know, with a bigger movie, it's going to be for a wider audience, so people aren't going to, of course, want to stick to canon so much because it needs to be generalized. Right.
And the cool thing with this series, assuming, like, I don't know what their full plan is, and I haven't done for it, and I haven't done a whole lot of research into the actual, like, in the description here, it says, series is an adaptation of the History of Trunks TV special. So, in theory, it could just stick with it, but basically, so in the anime, in the second saga of, like, there's different sagas of the characters, they had a special where they had alternate timelines of Trunks, and this one's following the main timeline that was kind of explained. And the whole Trunks multi-timeline thing is kind of like one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z entities in the world.
He talked for like 20 minutes on it yesterday, by the way.
And I'm really excited for it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they explain it. And they make some, I don't know, they, like the intro to the first pilot here is actually narrated by like an adult voice as Trunks, but yet they're starting out with Kid Trunks. So they're not just doing like the like 10 minutes the anime spent on this like timeline space. They're actually developing it a little bit. So it's gonna be really cool to see, you know, what all they do with it. And there's been other fan-made things before. Like there was a series I recommended on GEEK. It was Nightwing, the series, which follows Nightwing after he leaves Batman and has Oracle with him, and you know, his own side of the story. And it was pretty good. And it again had some weird, you know, actors feeling awkward because they're not comic book characters thing, but it was still well produced, and they actually took their own like versions of characters. Like their Deathstroke was totally different than Deathstrokes from other comic book lines, and they wanted it that way. And so I guess my question for you guys is, what do you think about fan-made adaptations in like live action form of comic book stories, anime, things like that? And what's your favorite? Because there's been a lot to come out over the past couple years, and even ones like, I think technically things like Mortal Kombat Legacy could be considered a, it's not a fan-made per se, but it's still like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Like it's not a huge production. It was funded even by WB, but it was still like, it was made for YouTube, I guess. It's still like,
I'm not familiar, so.
Yeah, but and there was things like, I don't know. There's just been a lot of series where they're either fan-made or they're at least like made for the YouTube fandom audience versus TV. And so, what do you think about them? What's your favorite? Other question, you know, thoughts, if you've seen any at all. And a good place to bridge that, if you haven't seen any of them and you want to kind of like bridge your way over, is the Halo Forward Unto Dawn movie / series. It was released on YouTube and made for YouTube, but it was actually done, like it was commissioned and produced in part by Microsoft to release with Halo 4. And so it kind of starts that trek of bridging down from actual like formal cinematic production and YouTube production, because it was originally released on YouTube and made for YouTube. And so that's a good way, if you haven't watched those kinds of series before, is to start with that, if you're a Halo fan, of course. And then actually get into more of the YouTube ones, because there's lots of talented editors now that are like, hey, I can do that effect from that cartoon, let me make my own series, and Kamehameha! And
I mean, God, if you want to look at the failures of, you know, the actual industry and making live-action adaptations of things, just look at Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Or Dragon Ball Evolution, which, by the way, this Dragon Ball Z Light of Hope series is already better with one episode, 13 minutes, than the entire Dragon Ball Evolution movie. In terms of the actual, like, effects of the key and stuff, the actors, like, every aspect of it is better in this one YouTube video than that entire, like, industry-produced movie. So, there's that. Yes, that...
I'm sorry, I was being kind of biased there rather than...
No, everybody feels that way about the Avatar movie.
Oh, we just pretend it doesn't exist.
Same thing with Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah.
There's not been a Dragon Ball live-action movie. What are you talking about?
I'm joking.
I just await the day they try a Pokemon one.
But I'm really hoping that what will happen with Light of Hope is that it will become more popular in the DBZ like fandom. And I think it would be really interesting if it gained so much popularity that people really began to realize, wow, this is a fan-made thing and it's 10 times better than the actual, like, I guess, canon one.
Right. And what would be cool, it would be really cool if after that, like, they, you know, if they were successful enough in it, they started to, you know, do other lines in it, like do other storylines or do their own or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the people creating it. The thing with things like that, though, is they often, like, they may not be solely interested in Dragon Ball Z, and so then they might start to chase, like, other storyline, like, other topics and stuff, so
right.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. So thanks for watching, everybody. Leave your comments in the comment section down below, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Keep it here until we can understand its origins.